Alrighty, welcome to another BioDevils podcast. I am your host and a very familiar voice, BioDevil Dom. I finally have my setup up and running, sort of. Don't have a desk yet, but I at least have my computer all fixed up and looking nice, so that's always fun. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about Silent Hill and the showcase for Silent Hill because there was a bunch of different news announcements for Silent Hill. Some of it not so great, some of it interesting, and some of it we really don't know much about. But with that being said, let me go ahead and introduce our podcast guest here. I'm going to go in order and then we'll just kind of go from there. So first up, we have Daybreaker Rein. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
How's it going, everybody? It's good to be talking about this finally, so people can shut the fuck up about Silent Hill showing up at every goddamn show and exhibit.
Hey, man.
I put it to you like this: a broken clock is right twice a day. Look, I understand people were going off to certain people's Twitter's accounts and we're saying like, oh yeah, well, like it's gonna happen, and
This man trying to throw shade already.
yeah, like when I'm just saying, like, you can't really believe every single leak, and you got to take everything with a huge heap of salt. That's all I'm saying. So, but since we're getting the ball rolling here, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, James?
How's it going? You already know who it is. We're not doing the fade joke again. It's one and done.
Oh, god damn it. Alrighty, after that, we got Drillbit.
Yeah, pretty excited about this one. Especially have a lot to talk about Silent Hill 2.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk quite a bit about Silent Hill 2, probably. Since that and Silent Hill F have the most information on them for the most part, based off of that showcase. But yeah, we'll definitely talk about it. Next up, we have Mr. Iveega.
Hey, what's up, everybody? And quick little message: Orange Dreamsicle Monster tastes delicious. I recommend y'all try it out.
Not a paid sponsor.
Sponsor us!
this man is trying to shill.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with There's nothing wrong with whoring yourself out.
When are we getting Waze? Waze, know where the fuck you're going.
Like if the company that owns Arizona Tea would ever sponsor my channel, I would take that shit in a heartbeat. Okay,
God, I'm gonna have all the Gamer Fuel iced tea.
No, see, I don't even want Gamer Fuel. I want Arizona Tea because it's stuff that I drink on a regular.
Yeah, but you're gonna
basis.
have it. You're gonna be like those other people that have it on the desk that's like stacked on their shit.
Are we gonna have Silent Hill Gamer Fuel?
Oh, please do.
This one tastes like
pyramid heads on the.
I've never tried Gamer Fuel or G Fuel or whatever the hell it's called. Like, does anyone know if it's any good?
I have no idea.
I've tried a couple different ones, like the canned stuff, like not the powder, and just not for me. Not for me.
Gotcha.
Start cooking Kool-Aid.
Yeah, this is a great solid discussion, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, yeah. So before we start talking about Gamer Fuel and all these other energy drinks and whatnot, why don't we introduce our last few guests here? KaptainKaos, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, what's going on, guys? This is going to be a really interesting one to talk about for sure.
Yeah. And last but not least, we have Sir Brandel.
Hi.
That's it. It's just straight to the point. That's all you get.
All you get. You don't get anything special. Just hi.
All right. So with all these introductions out of the way, let's get into the first question here. So Silent Hill has been dormant for several years now. With this recent showcase, we have 4 new games, a live-action movie, a bunch of statues, dioramas, skateboards again. How do you feel about what's in store for the franchise so far? And just to kind of go over it again for people who might not know, we have Silent Hill 2 Remake, which is going to be a timed exclusive for PlayStation 5, if I'm not mistaken. Silent Hill Townfall, Silent Hill Ascension, Return to Silent Hill, which is going to be the third live action movie, and then Silent Hill F.
Yeah. I guess I'll go ahead.
What happened to Konami?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
I will say
What happened
like,
to them?
Yeah.
mixed feelings, I suppose. I want to be happy that we're getting a remake of Silent Hill 2. Of course, we've heard the rumors about it. A lot of people for years have been, every time there's a game show or any sort of game show, everybody's like, where's the Silent Hill? Where are we going to get a Silent Hill announcement?
Listen, Chaos, they're reviving PT.
Yeah.
6 times.
If only that were true. Because it really, I really hate that we live in a world where Silent Hills never happened.
It's a crime.
Yeah. Because that was the most promising thing they could have come out of the franchise, but unfortunately, that's not the timeline we live in. We live in a timeline where Bloober Team of all developers is doing a Silent Hill 2 remake. So, but like I said, I wanted to be happy about it, but being familiar with Bloober Team and their track record,
We'll definitely talk about that more because that's actually the next question.
Anyway,
so maybe hold your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So I'll just basically I'm kind of mixed about the whole thing. There are some interesting announcements, but then there's also some games I won't go too much into it, but stuff like Silent Hill Ascension, you might as well throw that game in the trash immediately because I like I said in the video I made, that game is, in my opinion, it's completely DOA. Nobody wants to, I don't think anybody's going to play that game. I don't know what they were thinking with that.
Have they said what it actually is, by the way?
It's a live
I still
service
don't
game,
know.
apparently. I mean, it's, as far as I know, it's a live.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, so and we'll talk a little bit more about it, but Townfall is
yeah, and then there's Townfall as well.
Townfall is a different game, but then Ascension in particular, they advertised as a quote unquote massive interactive multiplayer event. So
that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Okay, so
more or less it is a live service game like Chaos.
Yeah. The only things that really kind of interest me is I want to be optimistic about the Silent Hill 2 remake, but I have low expectations. And then there is Silent Hill F, which actually has piqued my interest. But and also I guess Return to Silent Hill, if the original director from the first movie's coming back, it could be good. So I don't know. But aside from that, I'm kind of meh about it, to be honest. I mentioned,
you sound like you're down the middle.
Yeah, like I mentioned in the video that it feels a lot like we've been here before, where Konami revives the franchise and just throws it to random developers, and they have their own interpretation of Silent Hill, and it's just kind of if it was just kind of pretty. I mean, everything post Team Silent wasn't that great, so I'm hoping it might not be the case here, at least, but I guess we'll have to wait and see in that regard.
At least the audio and the monster designs will be good.
Yeah, I mean, one good thing about the remake,
they got that covered.
Yeah, a couple good things, I guess, about the remake that we know already is, of course, that Akira Yamaoka is coming back, as well as Masahiro Ito. So, I mean, that's good. I'm glad they at least got them back on board. So, but yeah, I guess that's just my general thoughts about this. The announcements we got.
You can't get that pyramid head skateboard.
Or the various statues they
sick.
announced.
Me too.
I'm sick, but I'm not well.
That's my favorite meme, by the way, as a side note. Fucking it says, Mary, I'm sick. James is like, me too. He's just doing Tony Hawk shit as the stupidest meme. And now it's relevant because of those skateboards.
Oh my
That's
god.
fucking amazing.
It's fucking genius.
You just hear Goldfinger in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could go real quick on this one too. So Silent Hill 2, and we'll talk about this more in the next question, but I'm very cautious about it. I'll kind of go into it in a little bit more detail when we get to that question, but I don't know how to feel about it, really. I don't think that it's necessarily going to be a bad game. However, there are things that I think are going to make it not better than the original. And that's what you would always want to have with the remake, is to try to make it as good, if not better, than the original. And that's where kind of my concerns are, but I'll delve into that a little bit more. Townfall and Ascension, aside from the fact that we don't really have much news on those, and that they're mostly just JPEGs, really don't care about them. Return to Silent Hill. I'm not a fan of the Silent Hill movies. I didn't like either of them, to be quite honest. I will say that at least one I could look at a little bit more of a favorable light because of the second movie, Revelations, because that one was absolute dog shit. And Silent Hill F, which we'll definitely really talk about, that's piqued my interest mostly because of the fact that it actually looks really like Siren or Forbidden Siren, if you're familiar with that franchise. So that's where my overall kind of mindset is. Everything else, like the statues and the skateboards, like the statues were cool. Like, give me the Doge diorama. I'll buy that because best ending in Silent Hill 2. Don't even fucking at me. Right next to the UFO endings, right?
Damn, I kind of wish I had my soundboard up. I would have played the dog ending.
Oh, the song. Borg, 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 borg. Yeah. I don't really care about like collecting skateboards. I don't really have much to say outside of I mean, they look nice, but I don't know anybody who would want to actually like buy those and use them for skating. So
and
that's
like
where
the whole
my stance is.
Like for the things that the only thing I came in on was the Silent Hill 2 remake. I had to go rewatch the presentation again just to see what was going on with it. And yeah, so I kind of will agree. It's like I have like some skepticism for the remake because of the team's like track record for what they've made. So I'm kind of in about it, but at least I have some positivity that it might be good.
Yeah, well, and like I said, that's going to be the next question. So hold like your general thoughts on that for the next one.
Well, that's just a tidbit, a snippet of that. But yeah, Silent Hill F, like whenever I saw that, it's like I kind of like the way that it looked. It had a very feudalistic Japan type of look, like old Japan look. But also I just don't know why, but the colors were like nice for it.
Yeah.
Like it had a nice little color scheme to go with it. As for the film, I'm kind of with Dom on it, but I'll give the first movie a little bit more slack. At least that one was okay compared to Revelation. Ascension, it's just going to be PUBG, Silent Hill, and Townfall. Meh.
It'll probably be like poor man's Dead by Daylight or something.
Probably. Well, if you want to play anything with Silent Hill, just go play Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, because they literally have Silent Hill features in there.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny to be honest, because Dead by Daylight already feels like a poor man's game as it is.
I thought that was Friday the 13th.
Aren't they planning more collaboration with the Dead by Daylight team as well?
That I don't know. Yeah,
I don't either.
Never confirmed anything about that, so I wouldn't breath on it.
Trying to think. I guess the only thing I can say that hasn't been said is I hope this goes well for Blooper Team, or else this is pretty much their last shot for most people, I would say.
Again, we're hold the thoughts on Silent Hill 2 in particular, because that's the next question.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Now you threw off my entire game plan.
We're talking about just the general like things that were announced. So like if you want to briefly talk about that, but just what wording on Silent Hill.
I was gonna say something about Silent Hill 2, but I guess I'll say that
I got nothing now.
I was gonna say something about Silent Hill 2, but I guess I'll save it for when it's actually gonna be the topic on hand, since I have a lot to say about it.
Yeah,
it's a hard question for no reason.
Yeah, and I figured that was going to be the case. That's why I made that first question. Hey, let's kind of talk about the overall.
Honestly, Konami tried it back in 2012, where we had 4 different Silent Hill properties, and it was very mixed results.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and run down through just general synopsis on my end. For Silent Hill 2 remake, I'm skeptical. First impressions were not great. Silent Hill Townfall, I definitely need more before I have anything conclusive to say, because right now there's just not enough to really say anything. If Silent Hill Ascension is anything, it's starting to sound like Twitch chat plays Silent Hill, and I could give a shit less about something like that. That sounds just like an absolutely awful experience, and I don't think anybody really was asking for that. So it's just a very
Effects canon,
choice.
by the way.
Real quick, something I want to point out about Ascension is that I don't know if it's true, but there were leaks a while back that there was this Silent Hill game that had to do with cyberbullying or something. There was like a lot of
Silent Hill the Message or whatever.
Yeah,
it was,
and people were
right?
thinking that's what Ascension is. So I
send the bullies to Silent Hill.
If that is,
you know what? Yeah, do that.
If that is what they're doing with that game, that it is dead. It is dead. Nobody's gonna play that game. That's a terrible idea. But I mean, I kind of
weird.
You know, what would be ironic after all this though? It actually would be a legit good game.
I don't know.
Yeah, won't we all look stupid years from now?
Yeah,
right.
I mean, yeah, I'll put my foot in my mouth if that's the case. But
I'd put money down. It's gonna be shit.
I think. Well, like, I think with like the generally speaking, right? For most of the Silent Hill stuff, we would want it to be good, right? We want to be proven wrong on that, especially if we're skeptical on like some of this other stuff.
Especially with the remake.
Which we're definitely going to talk about in a bit.
I definitely want them to prove me wrong. I mean, you know, like
yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't think any of us in this call right now want Silent Hill to be bad or dead. We want Konami to actually prove to us and everybody else that they can do a good Silent Hill game.
A lot of the reason that people that are fans of Silent Hill were apprehensive or didn't want it to come back was because they know that Konami is, you know, they know how they handled the franchise in the past, and you know, we're kind of
wait. Are we on number 2 already?
No, we're not on number 2.
No, I'm just saying, like that's.
So we get to number 2.
But yeah.
No, hold on, I didn't even finish my thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
damn it.
Finish mine either. So.
No one's finishing.
Yeah, so let all right, so let's have Daybreaker finish up, and then we'll have Brandon go, and we'll move on to number 2.
Yeah, I'll just make this really quick. As for Return to Silent Hill, mild interest because it is done by the director who did the first one, which I do have sort of a guilty pleasure love for, because it tried to do its own thing and wasn't necessarily trying to emulate something specific like what the second, Silent Hill Revelations tried to do and failed horribly at. Silent Hill F, obviously, I think to me is probably the one I'm most interested in, and especially if it does go into a more Japanese style horror experience, because I'm a fucking sucker for Japanese horror, so that'll definitely be interesting.
It's being written by the guy behind When They Cry, so. You know,
yeah. So that already got my eyebrows raising. And as for the merch, it's like the kind of weird thing about it is like it's merch. Like they've been doing Silent Hill merch forever. Like there's new merch that comes out for Silent Hill every once and again. It's like the one thing Konami will kind of do right. It's like, oh hey, there's this really cool statue or whatever. So cool. It's just it's whatever, more merch, if that's the kind of thing you like, cool.
Why skateboards though? I'll never understand.
That's like the new thing. Like that, just a small site. That's like the new thing, because like I said, like Limited Run has been doing that shit. So, and I will be right back. Sorry about that.
Someone's got ring.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, anybody disappointed they didn't announce a pachinko machine at this event?
Oh no, don't worry.
Thank Christ. Get off that garbage already.
All right,
or
Brandon.
NFTs. I was genuinely expecting that.
Yeah. All right, Brandon. You want to go ahead and tell us what you thought as well, right?
Yeah. Now, I would say this too. Like, I understand how everybody feels, and I'm in the same boat as well. But I'm not necessarily in the I don't want to say negative Nancy type phase, Tripito, because like again, we've been asking Silent Hill for years though, and here we are finally getting one, right? I don't want to like shoot it down before I have a chance to walk. So that's why I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait and see. I'm not gonna dog it just yet. I'm not gonna do anything else like that. I just want to see and let the product speak for itself, because we're already hearing shit posts in London already, right? But God forbid that game turned out to be really good though. Like everyone here have a foot in their mouth, you know. So that's all. Like I'm just gonna wait and see. If it's shit, it's shit. If it's good, it's good. You know, don't matter. But like the one thing I'm kind of excited about though, really, is the movie. Because I'll honestly keep it, a bit more faithful, like to his source material, unlike how they did with the first one. The first movie was pretty good in my opinion, though. But I just didn't like they swapped the characters out for the main lead, though. That's probably the only thing I really didn't like about Silent Hill 1, the movie. Aside from that, though, yeah, I'm pretty interested in the movie and the one they got going on.
The new one is being made by the same team, and they mentioned that they're going to be taking heavy inspiration from Silent Hill 2.
Like everything else in the series, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm just... Yeah,
I think it's even inspiration. Isn't it literally we're telling like the story of Silent Hill 2 basically in movie format?
That's how they worded it, but we'll talk about it a little bit more. Because I don't know if they're following James or if they're following Harry and trying to make the movie like that, but we'll talk about it. Anyway, Brennan, you want to read off number 2 here?
No, let James do it. He's so eager.
Oh, okay.
I'll
James,
do it.
You want to read it? Okay.
Silent Hill 2 Remake, a game that's been rumored for a while, officially was announced during the event. Blooper team is officially working on it. With this announcement, there seems to be mixed reception about the dev team. Gee, couldn't you already tell we said that much? How do you personally feel about it? Is there anything you would change in your mind, positive or negative view? All right, I guess I'll go since I wanted to jump on this question.
You want to just point out some of the notes here too as well?
Ito and Akira are on it. We kind of said, we kind of already started this too. Damn it, we kind of said some of this, but
yeah, just a refresher.
It's using Unreal 5, which is a good plus. I think that's a good idea. I thought they were going to use the Fox engine. I assume they still have it, under their thing. So I'm glad they're not. Personally, because I feel like engines after 2017 probably was a better idea to switch off.
No, see, Fox engine is only done by in-house studios. These guys are third party, so that wouldn't make any sense for them to have that engine to them. So yeah, Unreal would be literally the next best thing for them to use, other than in-house engine.
Yeah, that's true enough. The remake is also going for an over-the-shoulder. Big surprise. Like, what is it doing over-the-shoulder for horror now? Which personally I'm fine with. I don't care. Works for me. Yeah, so if you know Blooper Team, they've done Blair Witch, Layers of Fear, Observer, and The Medium. And they have a very mixed reputation. I'll be nice and say it's mixed because I know it's slightly more on the negative side. I was saying it before, they cannot screw this up. Whether it's between them and Konami. If they done goof this, there's no chance that anybody will look at them and say they're a good studio. So this is pretty much their one and only shot to turn things around for their perception of people, or people's perception of them, I should say. I hope they do. I don't want the game to fail. I want it to be good.
See, like, I don't agree with that. Like, even if they nail this game out of the park, though, it won't stop them from screwing up the next title. Because I'm gonna use
I'm saying perception.
Look at CD Projekt Red, for example. People thought they could do no wrong, and look what happened with Cyberpunk, right? So, like, I'm not going to say, like, this game, if they do good, it's going to make them gods all of a sudden. I'm like,
no. I'm not saying that either. I'm saying it will improve people's perceptions of them. Versus, if they screw this up, they're pretty much doomed as far as people see them as. Like, people never live down them messing this up, so this is pretty much their one and only shot, in my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel. Just perception-wise, not they're going to be... god tier status or anything. They could always fuck up the next thing. So I think it would improve. People would genuinely look at them with a kinder light than they do now, where they're very mixed.
The only thing I'll say about Blooper Team is that I've never played any of their games. I don't really know much about their games other than The Medium, because The Medium actually piqued my interest, despite it being a typical run and hide simulator, only because of the fact that they try to do something different with that one. And as far as I've been told, but I don't know if this is true or not, so somebody who might know could correct me on this. But I heard, like, Layers of Fear, it's practically impossible to die. Like, there's no death, like, at all in those games. Again, never played those games, so if somebody knows more than me, feel free to correct me on that.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that. So, like in the first game, I played through the first game. As far as I know, you cannot die. Second game, I haven't beaten it, but I've played a little bit of it. No death so far. So, Layers of Fear is basically like I described it. It's pretty much a haunted house simulator because you're just walking through these various different, I think they're procedurally generated areas, and things will occasionally jump out at you. And that's Layers of Fear. So,
yeah. So that's really all I know. So I only know what I've been told. Medium, only thing I really know about it is it's doing this dual perspective thing. Akira Yamaoka did some of the tracks in that game, not all of them, just a select few, I think. And and that's about it. But like, I don't particularly think Blooper Team was the right team to go with for this remake, mainly because of the mixed track record, because of the games that they have developed, and also because of all the studios you could have picked, especially because this remake is supposed to be a timed exclusive for PlayStation.
Console exclusive, but yeah.
Yeah, at least console wise, right? Like it was not the right team to go with, in my opinion. I think that had Konami tried to work with Sony and specifically try to get Bluepoint to do it, especially because of how that team in particular handled like Shadow of the Colossus, because we know that they remastered that game and they also
MGS is still like the best collection they've made so far, in my opinion. Is like flawless.
Right, but specifically, I'm bringing up Shadow of the Colossus because they not only remastered that game, but they remade it from the ground up too.
I didn't know they remastered. I knew they remade it.
Yeah, they remastered
they
it.
Remastered all Sony's games up to a certain point.
Oh, you're talking about the PS3 collection that has Ico on it too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They remastered that, and then they remade Shadow of Colossus.
The only thing that irked me about the remake is that they didn't restore any cut content, but I guess that's just a nitpick.
Well,
but
that's to be expected, though. That's not even
that's kind of a thing of like,
I mean, it's the same thing with
they
Demon
don't have
Souls.
to. Yeah, I was gonna get to Demon Souls because they also remade Demon Souls, and yes, Demon Souls isn't a perfect remake either, but they did a damn good job with that remake. And I think that like had they been given the opportunity to work on a Silent Hill remake, and I want to emphasize that too, Silent Hill 1, right? I feel like if they were given the opportunity to remake Silent Hill 1, not Silent Hill 2, that would have been way better. But Konami is doing this weird thing where they're choosing Blooper Team and they're starting with Silent Hill 2 over 1, which, granted, I can understand why they would want to remake any of the Silent Hill games, but I think that they should have started in numerical order. And I think
but there's a reason why. It's because it's the most popular one.
Well, again, we already know that, but I'm saying that I think it would have made more sense because it seems weird to start off with the second game and not the first. And especially if you're trying to bring people back into this franchise or bring in new people, you'd want to start off with the first one. Granted, 2 is its own thing. It doesn't really connect with the other Silent Hill games. A little bit of 4, but for the most part, it's an isolated story.
Team Silent games, it's 1 and 3.
Yeah, it's an isolated story, so they should have started with 1, then 2, and then so on and so forth. That's how I feel about it. It's great that Masahiro Ito and Akira Yamaoka are working with the project to some degree. We don't know how much, but they are involved with that project. But I just don't see why Blooper Team. And I do agree with James and in this perspective of like, yeah, okay, they don't have a really good track record. They have very mixed perception. This game, could at least, if they do this right, could boost their outlook essentially in a favorable light. where people will start looking at them a little bit better. That's not to say that they're going to be, perfect, or, people are going to start giving them passes for every time they do something bad. But this game in particular, if they fuck it up, like, it'll be the end of them practically.
Yeah, it's such a high profile horror game in the whole gaming spectrum. Considering it's always listed as one of the greatest horror games of all time, yeah, they got their work cut out for them, to say the least.
Yeah,
and just horror, just games in general. So that's a huge accomplishment underneath them.
Yeah, the use of Unreal Engine 5, I don't really mind that. I think environmentally speaking, from what we've seen, and granted, this is only one trailer, so we don't really know if that's like in-engine stuff or if that's just a CG trailer.
Getting hard to tell nowadays.
Yeah, for environments, it looks fine. I'm not a big fan of the way James looks. I think they could do a little bit better. I'm not saying that he has to be super like supermodel, superhero type of look, but
Chad,
Giga Chad, yeah, like I'm not saying that at all, but like I do think that they could make him look a little bit closer to the original. That's all I'm saying.
Old, though. That's a problem because he's 27. Too. He looks
on a side note, I showed Brandon. Somebody did a deep fake of him, and he looks like slightly better. Throw it in the chat just for opinions, I guess. The one on the right is the newer version.
So the one on the right looks way better. Like if they fixed it to that, that would look way better. I could dig that versus the other one where it just kind of looks like
he's overexpressing
really bad.
Yeah.
To be fair, he was doing that throughout the trailer in terms of his expressions.
I'm not a fan of the lighting because you I don't like that you get to see his face when it was mostly covered in darkness.
Yeah. So generally speaking, I don't think that the way that they're using Unreal looks bad, but there are things that they could obviously fix. And granted, this is only a first trailer, so things could change, right? So
they do have a lot of things in the right places. I noticed from the trailer.
I just hope that they're open to taking feedback when it comes to this remake as well, similarly to like Dead Space remake. But last point before I let somebody else go on this, and this is something that I know, James, you brought up when you guys were talking about Alone in the Dark. With this game being over the shoulder, I don't necessarily think it's going to be a bad game per se. And I know some people immediately jump to that conclusion.
Yeah, I think because...
Let me finish.
You go first.
Because I don't think that necessarily is going to make this game bad per se. However, I do think that the problem this game is going to have now is that because it's doing over the shoulder, it's going to have to do a little more work to stand out apart from every other remake that's coming out and that's been announced. Because now we have Resident Evil 4 remake, we have Dead Space remake, and then this isn't necessarily a remake, but a horror game, Callisto Protocol. We have Alone in the Dark that's doing over the shoulder. We have the Fear Effect remake, which originally wasn't going to be a fucking over the shoulder game, which don't even get me started.
Don't give
on
him
that
depression.
Shit. That gave me depression, okay? And I'm not even a Fear Effect fan.
You haven't mentioned? Now Resident Evil 8 has it.
Resident Evil 8 has it now through DLC, right? Like, there's so much stuff that has over the shoulder that I think the problem with Silent Hill 2 doing it is that now it's got to compete with every other game that looks exactly like it, and it has nothing standing out. The original game had these dynamic cameras. I'm not necessarily going to say that they're fixed cameras because while Silent Hill did have some fixed camera angles, for the most part, the camera was always dynamic in that franchise.
It's like the same system Devil May Cry had and Code Veronica for the most part. It was dynamic for most areas.
Yeah, Devil May Cry, Code Veronica, Onimusha 3, like those games.
It's like a weird hybrid. Sometimes certain rooms are fixed, but most of the time it's not.
So,
real quick in regards to that too, it's interesting that this is going to be over the shoulder, considering the medium was like, I don't want to say fixed. I think it's more dynamic, but it's
it's both fixed and dynamic. Yeah.
So I'm kind of scratching my head. I'm like, okay, they did that with the medium, but they're not.
Well, it's probably because of Konami.
Konami definitely told them to do certain things. Yeah.
Which,
well, and that's another thing I
okay,
guess
no.
we should keep in mind, just to be fair to the Bloober team, is that like how much of the decisions are going to be theirs and how much is Konami just telling them like, hey, you need to do
right?
this.
How much is Konami interfering with the studio? Because that's another issue, right?
Which they shouldn't.
And I think like in regards to like that, like I really hope that like the studio is going to try to take like fan feedback, especially from people who are just not feeling this remake at this particular time. I do think that maybe they should consider giving us the option of having a more classic dynamic camera, again, just to make itself stand out more so from some of these other horror games that are out or coming out, right? It needs to be a game that it has to be a game that is, as I mentioned before, as good as, if not potentially better than the original Silent 2. And that's a very, very tall order to meet, right? So I think that I don't think that this remake is going to be bad per se, right? Because I don't want to say that just because I have these criticisms or complaints, right, that I think it's going to be bad. But I also don't want to make it sound like, you know, just because anybody else has these criticisms like myself, right, that they should be silenced or they don't have the right to criticize it per se either. So that's kind of where my stance on this remake is. But I've talked enough about this. What do you guys think about it?
Oh, fine. I mean,
well, I kind of wanted to say a quick few things since you kind of already covered a lot of it. But yeah, I'm not a fan of like Bloober Team because their writing is not that great. And I know like the foundation's already there, but they're not very good at handling sensitive topics, especially in the medium. I don't know if you
I'm
like
gonna be fair here though. Like this is them redoing work, right? Not necessarily creating new stuff. So I'm not gonna give them shit for that though.
Oh, that's Konami told them to rewrite things. Otherwise, they should be okay.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
but like other than that though, yeah, you have a good point though. Like the medium had like a really weird little writing quirk.
I know what you guys are referring
absolutely.
to.
I'd ask, but that'll
Yeah.
be off topic, I guess.
You don't want to know what it is.
I don't
It's
know,
very
actually, you know, Drill, go ahead,
sensitive.
explain or whoever, because it's kind of important to know that context.
It is somewhat relevant to what happens in Silent Hill 2 as well. So
Drill, you mind telling them what happened in the medium?
basically there's a character in the medium that gets sexually assaulted as a child, and they basically try to make you feel sympathetic towards the one that did it to her, and they paint her out to be a victim, and then they paint her out as it being her fault or some shit like that.
That makes my neck go backwards when you say that.
So it's something that's very fucking sensitive, but done poorly.
Yeah.
Very fucking poorly.
Yeah, especially when it's something like abuse. Yeah. That's like the worst thing, to make the victim seem like it's their fault that it happened to them.
You know what? Everyone that said that I'm not even gonna correct it anymore. Anytime I hear someone call it blooper team, now it's like, you know what? Keep it, because the writing that they've done, they're major fucking bloopers on their part.
Now I remember what I was going to ask. Okay, so we've seen like a very, I don't know if it's in the doc where we saw a very brief like thing where you see James dodge and stuff. Why are people making a big deal about this? I'm asking. I'm putting folks on the spot.
I think
are people scared because Homecoming?
I think people are getting PTSD flashbacks to Silent Hill Homecoming with how the combat's being done.
I knew it. I knew it because it's the only other game that's done
it's
that weird like
2
combat
seconds.
style.
We can't really say anything. Just finished in 2 seconds.
I just see some ridiculous shit. I'm like, people are jumping the gun. This is literally nothing. You've seen one minor animation, which may or may not even be in the game, or a finish for that matter.
Given the subject matter too, like you know, it's Silent Hill here, and I would say like the Silent Hill community is a bit more sensitive, rightfully so, given the history. When it comes to certain things with the franchise, unlike say like RE fandom, for example. So like
oh god, I don't want to imagine the purism, but like, come on, people, it's not that big a deal. I just like read that, I was like, what is the issue? That's why I don't understand. Outside of Homecoming, yes, Homecoming sucks. We know that. But
and
I don't know.
That's,
it's one of those things.
That's exactly why I was saying, like, things like that. I don't want to say like, hey, just because people are criticizing that, like,
oh, they can. I don't understand why.
No. But I'm saying like, like in terms of just criticizing it, right? I'm not trying to say like, hey, that they can't at all, right? Or like that some of the criticisms aren't valid per se. Certain things, yeah, I could understand that, like, where that's kind of a head scratcher, where like that.
It's just peculiar, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
I think there are more concerning things than like the over the shoulder or the dodging.
I think it's more so the implication that it seems like it's leaning more into an action direction, which I think could be done right if you still have the survival horror element to it. Like, for example, Resident Evil 2 remake. I mean, it leans more into action, but there still is, you still need to conserve ammo. And
still has a lot of the mechanics of survival horror.
I think it could be done right, but I mean, the question is Bloober Team the type of the sort of dev that would do it right?
Yeah, that I can't say anything about because I don't know how. And if any of the games even have combat besides Silent Hill.
Oh, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, they have combat, but it's not good and it's not supposed to be. I mean, because you're supposed to kind of avoid combat for the most part.
I think you meant from Bloober.
No, I meant for Bloober. I know Silent Hill is intentionally terrible, although that does bring up a point. What's your alternative? The same ready stance, take a swing combat? Like, do people really want that again? Like, is that?
I mean, I'm okay with some modernization.
I don't know
about survival instincts apparently, because you're not gonna sit there and stand there, take hits.
Right. I think it's an issue of when you try to put. I think part of it is the graphics, right? Let's just be honest. That's gonna look really, to me, that's gonna look extra goofy. It's realistic, and you tell me this guy's gonna realistically stand there and get smacked in the face and not try to do anything about it besides take a very goofy stance with a pipe and try to hit something. I think that might be partially why they did it, because they know it looks ridiculous by today's standards, which makes me cringe because I'm not a modern guy for the most part. I'm kind of a boomer.
How could this man?
So I get why they're trying to do something with it.
How could this man have adrenaline? He's traumatized.
Yeah, I'd seen stuff like that where I'm like, okay, do you think traumatized people can't fucking dodge a swing or something? Like what?
In the case of like Silent Hill, it's like the fear kicks in. That's when adrenaline kicks in.
Yeah, if you're afraid, so you're not going to stand there and get whacked usually, unless you're a deer in headlights kind of person. So it's one of those things where it doesn't. That's why I say it's peculiar, because I'm like, what is the problem? Do you think somebody who's afraid is going to stand around and do nothing or not run away or anything? No, it's strange.
It's either fight or flight. It's not like you're going to stand there going, "What's that? I'm too traumatized to care." Dead.
No, yes, I do agree, though. I am afraid of the other half of the combat, I guess. The dodging is whatever. We've seen him hit like a nurse twice with a bat or something, and that was it. We really didn't get an actual look at it. And it was at a different camera. It looked like an older style camera angle, too, so I really don't know how they're going to handle that. They're not being very direct. I hope they give us a demo at some point, because I really want to pick that stuff apart.
Or
You know what's funny is that this wasn't the first Silent Hill game. Well, Homecoming was behind the shoulder, but they wanted to do it with the PSP game, but they dropped it.
Yeah, I know. Silent Hill Origins, right?
Yep. Yeah, and
that game's been through a lot of development, from what I've seen.
And the earliest version was behind the shoulder, but I think Konami or whoever had them drop it for an unknown reason.
Yeah, that game's been through a lot.
It could be the technological things that they were dealing with.
Was it always intended to be on that platform?
ESP.
Yes.
Yeah.
That could be why maybe they had performance issues, but
see, I don't see how, considering we have plenty of over-the-shoulder games on PSP. So
it is weird because we have stuff like Spider-Man and Battlefront on there. So yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah, we have those.
I don't know the technical details, so I can't say.
And also, what was it? Peace Walker? That was another one.
How do you? Oh, I forgot to read the other half. How do you personally feel about it? Is it anything that? What would you change? I guess the only thing I would say change is James's facial expressions are kind of He's kind of over emoting where he's supposed to have a blank face most of the time. Like I am on board with people who are.
I was going to ask
not
how you
having
guys
it
felt
with
about
that,
that.
like,
James in
yeah.
the original kind of bottled up his emotions.
It's not that he looks. It's not that he looks bad when he emotes. He doesn't need to be emoting right now, though. Like even in the beginning, he's not supposed to be sad just yet. Like nothing's really happened in the story.
Yeah.
Like everything is very deliberate with Silent Hill. Some people probably either do or don't know, but a lot of things in that game that seem like an odd design choice are probably very intentional.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that hard to fix facial animation, so if they could, like, I mean, that deep fake kind of proves it wouldn't be that hard to just make it have a blank face for certain scenes.
Yeah.
I think the awkward voice acting's gone, which I know that's definitely on purpose to be a dreamlike thing or something like that. I've heard that in interviews.
That's gonna happen, right? Because that is no. It's
Which is unfortunate
I mean,
because it is a staple of like all 4 Silent Hills from Team Silent that they have the weird voice acting on purpose.
That was
but those are
mainly
made by amateurs. That's
the thing is that was also a cause of like the language barrier.
I think they just adapted it into being on purpose
Because
as
it
an
was
excuse.
mainly the Japanese devs working with the voice actors, so there was a language barrier that had like weird dialogue come out of it.
The
That
only
was the case with like
okay.
Metal Gear Solid in particular as well.
Yeah.
Also,
you guys remember like how they recorded Metal Gear Solid in like a garage? But like I'm not really too surprised that the voice acting was like that for like the Silent Hill series, because but I think like kind of like the fog in Silent Hill 1, they ended up like using that as a kind of point of interest for
they
Silent Hill
turned
when
it into a
developing the later
plot
games.
related thing instead of just being an engine limitation, which is what it actually is.
That's
But
what
they
it
turned
is,
into an
but,
effect.
Yep.
They gave it an
it keeps
effect
getting-
overlay and said it looks good. We'll use this. The only game in the series I think genuinely has bad, like actually bad voice acting is the first one. I like the characters, but holy crap! I'm sorry. Go listen to Silent Hill 1 again and tell me it sounds good.
It sounds
At
good.
least 2 I can pass off as dreamlike. 1 just genuinely sounds bad.
yeah, it kind of reminds me of how, like with Shenmue, the Yu Suzuki would cast people just based on looks rather than actual acting skill.
Excuse me. Do you know where I could? Excuse me. Do you know where I could find some voice actors?
At least
Like-
Shenmue is like that's just a staple now. And
Yeah,
that's what
it's
kind of
from
people expect and kind of want. So that's different.
it's from a weird era where where video game voice acting was still kind of very
New.
and
Like even with Silent Hill 1, there's a lot of awkward pausing between dialogue, and it does not flow well together at all.
yeah, that's probably because of the fact that they were translating it from Japanese.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like the later games did it better, in my opinion, where it sounded like more what they were going for. It's intentionally awkward, but it's not like impossibly unrealistic. Nobody would ever speak like this type of thing.
Yeah.
Does anyone else got anything?
Yeah.
Well, I was
Hey,
going to
Daybreaker's
say a
back.
lot of. Well, I was going to say a lot of things, but I think everyone else just hit it over the head, so I'll just step back.
Honestly, I was going to say real quickly is that I kind of wish they would just re-release. They would have re-released like the old Silent Hill 2. At least
I was talking to Dom about that, where I said I wish they would re-release the HD collection, except it's not shit this time, preferably.
No, I don't think
Yeah.
they wouldn't re-release the HD collection. If anything, do parts just do like an emulation port of the games.
I mean, with
Anything to
Silent
fix
Hill
that up would
2,
be
and
nice.
I kind of recently, like, I didn't even know this, but apparently it's abandonware, so you can just download it for free.
Yeah, it's a bad
And just install
Yeah,
the enhanced
but
edition
Konami
patch.
could-
There you go. You can play
Yeah,
it
but
on
I
a
don't know
toaster.
how Konami. I don't know why Konami, just can't repackage it and release it on everything.
I don't know. At this
before
point,
it
I
was,
would trust the fans to, fix these games as opposed to fucking Konami to,
It's a Bethesda
Yeah,
situation
yeah.
now where the fans have to do all the work.
I was
Go
just
ahead,
going
Dom.
to say real quick before I let Daybreaker go, because, obviously I want to have him say his piece. I was going to say that I do find it weird that Konami never did like similar thing to what they did with Zone of the Enders 2, where they did a 4K/VR supported version of the game. for like Silent Hill 2 and 3.
Oh, wait a second. They don't have the source code anymore for the games, I don't think.
Yeah.
So they had early source code, but not the finished product.
So I'm a little surprised that they never tried to do anything like that. Also,
part of the reason why, because they got the source code to it. It's like
also from my understanding, Silent Hill 4 and Origins are available digitally on PS3 on the Japanese PlayStation network. If I'm not mistaken, that is, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't try to maybe like work with Sony to get those games put out on like PlayStation Plus Extra or anything like that, just to get people to get it on Japanese PlayStation Plus at least, right? But that's my 2 cents. So I'll let Daybreaker go because I'm sure he's down to give his piece here.
I just wanted to comment on the them re-releasing the original versions. I had said this to Dom. We were talking back and forth, and I think that would have been a reasonable thing. Like, obviously, these collections, all these collections that have come out, they're using emulation, so like that's not necessarily a big issue to me per se. I would have loved if they had passed it off to M2 to do like a Silent Hill collection. Maybe the first 4 games, if anything. I wouldn't have expected them to do like every game because that would be absolutely freaking ridiculous. But it would have at least been something. I would have preferred to see it. But I just kind of wanted to, like, obviously we've sort of hit a lot of the points that I think people want to make. But my biggest thing, like with the Silent Hill 2 remake, and obviously we've already said it, but it is a game that's very near and dear to a lot of people. So obviously the idea of wanting a team that does good work or has sort of a rapport already built would have been preferable. Like, I don't know anything about Blooper Team. Like, I've not played any of their games. I've heard about them in passing, so I can't comment and say, that I absolutely 100% agree that or disagree that, this is the right company for the job. Dom talking about Blue Point earlier, I actually wanted to make a point about just kind of comment on that. As much as I would have loved Blue Point to possibly look at one of the Silent Hill titles, there are criticisms I have with the stuff they've remade. Like, there are artistic choices that don't necessarily fit with what I personally would have felt, because I think that's the big issue that I have with the first impressions of the Silent Hill 2 remake, just in general. Like, obviously things can change, and I'm hoping that they do for the better. The Unreal 5 engine is a phenomenal engine, but graphics aren't everything, and I feel like there's this weird push recently for games to kind of force in this whole like realism over ultra realism, like over like kind of artistic liberty. And that's kind of why I think first impressions were just really, really off-putting, because the original Silent Hill 2 and just Team Silent's work in general is very artistic, and like everything is deliberate, and they really brought about a world that I don't think will ever be emulated by other people. So that was definitely my biggest criticism. And in terms of the combat, I think I don't necessarily think the over the shoulder is a bad thing. Obviously, like, modernizing it is going to be the way to go, because the whole argument about like certain play styles only appeal to certain niche types of gamers. So like I get the idea. I think my argument with how the original combat was, and kind of like how it was throughout the Team Silent games, is that all the protagonists you play are not superheroes. They're not highly trained soldiers. They're not super spies or anything like that. They're not people who would have these like super reflexed and keen awareness abilities to be able to do gun fu on fucking monster asses and shit. So I think that's just kind of where I'm a little hesitant about over shoulder, dodge mechanic stuff, because it's like James is not he's not military, he's not a police officer, he's not FBI, like he's not any of those things. He's not trained in any capacity. Like, right, there is a sense of like, obviously, like I do agree the idea of like having to do like a ready stance, if you will, for a weapon is a little goofy. But at the same time, you could circumvent that with the combat not necessarily being where you feel like a superhero. It could be a little bit more grounded in realism, that maybe there is like hesitancy in weapon windups and stuff like that, because obviously, like, again, you're facing nightmarish horrors. Like, I don't think a normal person would just immediately jump in and start swinging a melee weapon, so
real quick too.
But anyways, I just started
just really quick. I was gonna say, like, on that point, Daybreaker, like, what they could do is like, I would assume most people would try to swing like like a pipe or like a wooden 2x4 plank, right? Almost like a baseball bat. So they would just swing it left and right,
probably like a bat,
left and right and up and down. I feel like that makes a little bit more sense, right?
Well, and they could definitely. They could definitely make it to where, like, obviously something like the iconic 2x4 with the nail in it, that is kind of like become a staple like thing that people remember from Silent Hill 2.
It's either that or the damn pipe,
right?
There's
like,
some reason the pipe.
With a weapon like that, like, obviously it would make more sense that it could be swung a little bit more sporadically. Like, you could be a little bit more wild with a lighter weapon. So I think the offset would be to definitely focus on giving weapons weight, so it makes more sense. So like, you're not just freaking swinging a lead pipe like you're freaking Dante or something in Devil May Cry, how he swings his sword.
Listen, let James do a pop shredder. It's fine.
As funny as fuck that would be, like it would definitely it would break away from the immersion that I think they're definitely going to want to go for.
We have seen animations actually. Oh, go ahead, Brendan. You first.
Okay, there's something though. Like, I do think people really underestimate human nature. To be told, like, you don't need to be trained to defend yourself, man. That's the thing that bothers me about conversations like this. Yeah, I understand. Like, well, it depends on the circumstances, of course, though. Because I know people like to bitch about running high, is blah blah blah, right? But you're seeing guys that literally twice your size that can crush your head in a one crush, whatever, yeah, you're not gonna fight that shit. I'm just saying, right? But in the case of Silent Hill, though, like, there's always combat into the games because we did it for all the years, right? But we're at a point where, like, how are you going to implement untrained people into something like this, right? Because, like, even like in Dead Space, man, Isaac is not a trained soldier; he's an engineer, and yet look how he turned out. He came out pretty okay. So I think honestly that people should calm down with the whole argument of the over the shore type stuff going on here. But I think it's kind of I don't know, disingenuous, kind of unfair.
It's a thing too. People also underestimate the power of fight or flight. And when you fight, you gotta fucking fight. Like, people are gonna swing. They may not look like professionals doing it, but they're gonna take a swing if they are picking the fight option.
Well, and that's why I was saying, like, I don't necessarily think like over the shoulder is going to make the game bad. Earlier, but like I do think that, like, from the perspective of this game needing to stand out more compared to every other game that is getting a third person mode or is coming out or just got announced, right? It really needs to do something in order to stand out more. That being said, I don't think that the game per se is going to be bad specifically because of it going over the shoulder. I think that's because like think about it this, like, we already know that it's Blooper Team, right? But had Blooper Team gone for 1-to-1 combat, 1-to-1 animations, 1-to-1 camera perspectives, they could fuck it up in any way, even having all those things that they could have had to make this game at least look and play similarly to the original Silent Hill 2.
Okay,
like there's
this is like the only thing we have for the animations anyway for combat, so that's it for now at least.
Like
Right.
If they tried to do anything like exactly like the original like that, I feel like the issue is that they try to copy it, but it would be like a surface level thing. It's like they wouldn't understand what made certain things work, like the camera angles and all that. I mean, that's the other concern about that. It's are they really
honestly in hindsight saying that it might be for the best that they have changed it very slightly.
Yeah, so I mean it's a remake, so
because there are people really nitpick them.
It's a remake, so I feel like they're kind of free to make changes and stuff, and I kind of expect them to. I mean, it's not going to be completely the same.
Look at RE4.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they're taking like some sort of creative liberties with changing it, but not by much. If Konami gives them the green light to go ahead and make these changes, then they could do so. But if Konami just steps in and says, don't do that, then they'll fix up, try to find something else to change.
Yeah. And as I started that initial, discussion with, like, I don't necessarily think it's a bad choice or it's going to be like a make or break thing. Like, there's just like a combination, from my opinion, of things at the current time of this recording and what we know so far and what we've seen so far that make me skeptical and hesitant. I think obviously, Silent Hill fans have been nipping at the butt for a long time for Konami to do something with the franchise, something that wasn't, oh, hey, this freaking pachinko machine that, no fucking person's ever going to play outside of Japan, or oh hey here's a fancy t-shirt or a fancy statue or whatever, so obviously there's going to be a lot of expectations,
or hey,
but then there's also going to be a lot of just unnecessary hype, where people are just jumping on it because, oh hey, it's Silent Hill. But with that being said, I will agree 100% with Dom. I do feel Silent Hill 1 deserves far more love than it gets. Like, I understand that Silent Hill 2 was definitely the namestay title. Like, that's the one that anybody in passing you say, you talk to about Silent Hill is going to know what Silent Hill 2 is. That's the one that stood out. That's the one that really called out to people. And so, like, I get why they would jump to Silent Hill 2. Like, I'm not saying that it's wrong or like, that I'm upset about it, but I would have liked to see a proper iteration and a proper remake of 1, especially because, the first Silent Hill is a PS1 title. So there's even more reason, there's even more reason to see it get the love and treatment like what the Spyro Reignited trilogy or the Crash Insane trilogy got, with how well those turned out. So I definitely would have liked to see it. But that's neither, here nor there. Like, obviously I'm not the, a member of the board or anything like that to make that decision, but hopefully somewhere down the line, if Blooper Team does well enough, or if Konami is willing to pass it off to somebody else, we do get to see a reimagining of the first game, because I know Shattered Memories is technically a reimagining of the first game, but I never liked Shattered Memories. I didn't think it really captured the essence of what made Silent Hill 1 good. So I definitely would like to see that somewhere down the line, if anything.
It could be worse.
Real quick before we move on to number 3, because we definitely we're focusing on this. That's why I wanted this one to be very early, because I knew we were going to talk about a lot of it.
Nice.
Even Shattered Memories, I think, like, if I'm not mistaken, has no combat. And I think that's,
you just run away pretty much.
It's run and hide.
And that really, like, I like Silent Hill 1 from what I played of it. I only played through it once. If you wanted a way to convince me not to play that game, right there, just saying the words "no combat," automatically you lose me on that.
Don't make it mine. No combat.
Yeah.
No combat. I can just imagine someone drawing a picture of Dom as Megamind. No combat.
Do it, yeah. No combat. So,
all right, Cass, you know what you do.
I just realized that Silent Hill 1 is pretty much getting in the same. It's the same parallel as Code Veronica for Resident Evil. Got passed up for the more popular title.
Yeah,
I would say. I would.
So.
I would.
Anyway,
no, go ahead.
yeah, why don't we go ahead and move on to number 3, because we definitely focused on this point quite a bit. So, that way we can kind of get things wrapped up here. So, Daybreaker, if you want to go ahead and take on number 3 here.
Sure. How do you feel about the announcement of the new live-action Silent Hill film, Return to Silent Hill? The director of the first Silent Hill is returning, and Return will be heavily inspired by Silent Hill 2. Like I said earlier, I'm interested, to say the least. Like, it's definitely not something that I'm going to jump and run and probably like go to the movie theater for. Like, I'll go in with low expectations, if anything, because that usually works out best for most video game movies, I feel. If you set the bar low in your mind going into it, you might come out on the other end not necessarily being dissatisfied with what you saw. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of creative liberties, I'm sure, that will be taken for this particular one, especially if they're basing it off of Silent Hill 2. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see. Like, I think it's cool that they got the original director, because I do genuinely like the first Silent Hill movie for what it was. So we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully, if anything, it'll be available on like Peacock or some streaming platform, so I don't have to go to the theater.
Who's distributing
HBO Max.
it?
Like, have it at HBO Max, Peacock, just as long as it has like, so you don't have to leave.
I'm guessing that this is supposed to be like a complete reboot, right?
I'm actually not sure. The way that they talked about it was a little confusing. Because the way that they talked about it, it made it seem like they were talking about it as if it was almost like a reboot. But I don't necessarily know if it is, because they were talking about the first 2 movies as well. If it is a reboot, that could help it, right? But if they do just consider it, hey, this is a 3rd movie, it just happens to be a standalone story, just like Silent Hill 2, right? Then I don't necessarily think it really would make a huge difference per se. But like I said, it is a bit confusing on how they worded that.
I just feel like we don't really know enough about it yet. I mean, I would prefer if it's just its own thing.
Like the thing is, we didn't even get like casting or a trailer, just concept art. So it seems like it's in very early pre-production.
Mm-hmm.
All I could say is that if it's better than Revelation, then okay. That's all I really have to say. As long as it's better than Revelation, then I'm fine with that. But
dude,
I'm with you on Daybreaker. I'm not going to go in with high expectations on it.
I mean, it does have the original director, so there's that.
That's why I'm saying that.
You could hire UA Boll to shit out a Silent Hill movie, and it'd probably be better than Silent Hill Revelations.
You want another Alone in the Dark? Is that what you're asking?
You want another Postal movie? You want a movie where James just turns into the Postal dude and starts shooting up all the zombie nurses? Okay.
I actually heard the Postal movie was okay,
just saying.
Surprisingly.
But yeah, that's why I was thinking it was probably a reboot, since they probably don't want to acknowledge Revelation.
No, I wouldn't either.
Pretty much.
But yeah, I mean, I'm at least hoping it's semi-decent because it sounds interesting. Would be nice to at least hear more about it once it actually moves more in production. Like, what's the casting gonna be like?
Yeah, that's all we really need is like a trailer for it to show off what it's going to look like, who's going to be casted in it. Just all that's what's needed. We just need casting and a trailer for it. Sure, we have the director who's involved with it, who did the original first one, but we just need more information.
Yeah. Didn't it seem like it was based off 2 or something?
Yeah. It's going to be inspired by Silent Hill 2.
But yeah, and they said Pyramid Head's going to be in it, so I was like, oh, I guess that's expected.
Are they going to show that scene?
I don't know. Like, it might hit it with, like, maybe that would hit an NC-17 rating if they did that.
What they're going to do, they're probably going to have it out, has the cut, like the cutted version, and then they'll have the director's cut later on DVD and Blu-ray.
The director's cut gives Pyramid Head a freaking 6-inch cock or something. I don't know. 6 foot.
You can say another great sword, if you know what I mean.
I will at least give praise to the first movie for the effects are pretty decent, at least the practical stuff, and they did use music from the games, and I did appreciate that.
And Sean Bean didn't die.
Yeah, but the thing is that I do wish he would have been the main character instead of just swapping the roles.
He didn't die in both movies.
I thought you were about to say, I wish he did die.
He should have died in Revelations. If since they're adapting 3, then
but he didn't.
Yeah.
And then the second one, you had the guy who played Jon Snow faking an American accent.
Yeah, Kit Harington.
Yep.
Look, what you guys are forgetting is that when they make this new movie, they're gonna try to have James join in on Pyramid Head's threesome. Okay.
Jesus Christ!
He wants in. Like,
I mean,
there's 4 holes here. I could use them all.
Oh God.
Jesus.
I mean, if they get Sean Bean back in the series in some form, I'd be down with that.
I hate that you say that because I did see a fan art of
that.
Of the body, the double body of doing the jackal pose as well as doing something else. I forgot what it was.
Brandel. No.
Yes.
Well, we're losing our monsters.
Joe? You want to see it? I'll show you later if I find it.
Well, we're gonna lose our monsters sponsorship.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's all I can really say about Return to Silent Hill, since there's barely anything about it, but I'll keep an eye on it.
That's okay. I was going to reach out to Vix and see if we could get a NyQuil sponsorship.
I was going to say Venom, the lower one.
Yeah, so just real quick about the movie, I just, like I mentioned, I'm not really interested. I'll probably watch it with the guys here, but like, I just don't care. Because Silent Hill movies, just like Resident Evil movies, have not been consistently good. So,
you know what's fucked up though? At least the Silent Hill 1 movie is better than most of Resident Evil movies. I could get
that's the sad part. You know, I would give it this: the first Silent Hill movie is better than Welcome to Raccoon City. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So I'll give it that. Anybody else wanted to go on this one, or we good?
I'm good.
Okay, so Chaos, you want to go ahead and read off number 4 then?
Yeah, sure. Several Silent Hill skateboards, figures, statues, and dioramas were announced. Were there any that piqued your interest? Anyone getting the dog diorama? I kind of think we did kind of go off in this, but yeah, I mean, they look pretty good from what I've seen, but it's probably going to like cost. I'm going to have to sell my organs to afford any of them. So,
oh God, I know, right?
How much of the figures cost in the past?
I would guess they're probably going to be like $200 or upwards $200, maybe $300.
Is there like a website for those?
They're
a sales page or anything like that?
It could be on the Konami store or wherever they're selling them. I'm not really sure.
Maybe they'll just put it out to other like Japanese figurine stores.
That too, yeah. They sell them through those other sites.
Like the only things I would actually truly want, I would want the Doge diorama, but I also would want the Pyramid Head deck, just because I like the way that design looks. But I would just hang it up on my wall as like a display. But I do think it's kind of sad though. It's like, hey guys, you like Silent Hill, right? Well, guess what? We got some new information. Here's some skateboards. It's like, do they really think gamers know how to skateboard?
So
yeah.
So I found.
Bro, have you not seen the videos of our buddy Avalanche Reviews freaking hitting the skateboard?
Actually, no, I have not.
I have not actually.
He's posted a couple videos of him on Twitter, freaking getting back into skateboarding. So yeah.
I know there's some people like Family Jewels that skateboards, and he also does metal covers, but I don't see any other gamers because my fat ass wouldn't be able to get on a skateboard without falling over. At least I'm honest with myself, yes.
So the Silent Hill Pyramid Head statue or Red Pyramid thing statue, that's like almost $400.
Oh my God.
That sounds
yeah, I haven't been able to find the other ones just yet, but that one specifically is like about $360. So like
that looks awesome though.
Everything else, though, everything else is like in Japanese yen, or has a to be determined price. So like the dog diorama or like the James and Maria statues, those don't have prices yet. They're gonna have prices at a later date, and specifically the James and Maria ones, those are going to be releasing in 2023 in Japan and everywhere else to be determined. Same goes for the Doge diorama.
I mean, they're cool for the people who can afford them. Like, hey,
they're meant for like, so they're probably just meant for like Silent Hill enthusiasts.
Oh yeah, like the collectors out there.
Yeah.
Like I get it. Like there are those people out there who that's their hobby. They freaking collect that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, I'd be lying if I said that I didn't have a couple expensive figurines myself. But like, I just for me personally, it's like as cool as they are. Like, like give me a smaller scale one that I can buy for like $30. Like or hell, freaking smaller scale, freaking Gunpla or something like that. Freaking, I could build it myself. Like, I couldn't imagine forking out the price of a PS5 for a statue. Because, like, the statue is just going to sit there and look pretty, which is cool for a showpiece. But, like, I have limited space where I can put shit. So it's like,
it depends on the piece for me. If it's not appealing, then no, I'm not paying that price for it, though. But, like, yeah, sure, statues are meant to look pretty, right? But if it looks really damn good, you bet your ass I'm paying premium for it.
Yeah.
But, people want premium. Well, yeah, if you're paying a premium price, you want premium quality.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, the nurse... the bubblehead nurse statue, that's $40, so that's actually pretty reasonable, I think. And the skateboards, they're $90 each.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that the skateboards were like $90.
Yeah, I have a better website here that I can.
It's just a very small, because it just kind of occurred to me that this would actually sort of be a little bit funny. I remember like how back in like way back in the early days of YouTube, like one big thing was like to freaking destroy consoles because like people like, oh, whatever, like I freaking hate this particular console, so I'm gonna freaking put it through like everything, aside from dropping a fucking nuclear bomb on it. No, it was just funny to see like somebody get like one of those skate decks, because like the skateboard, skaters freaking break their boards, so just like one to like just see somebody just like completely just like freaking destroy one of those boards.
Daybreaker, you say that it's like someone destroys it and it's like, hey, you like this video? Well, I'm giving a giveaway of these decks. Just like and share this video.
I'm giving away the freaking wood, the wood scraps.
Yeah.
What is that term for? I know this is off topic, but what is that term for when you have one end of your skateboard that's like completely flattened and it becomes like razor sharp to the point where it's like really dangerous to try to, like stop your board from that side?
That I don't know.
Because I remember hearing, I remember like watching a video. I think Tony Hawk talked about that once. So I was curious if anybody knew, but that's all right. But yeah, like I definitely get what you're saying with like taking the Silent Hill boards, right, and just seeing if anybody's just gonna want to put them through fucking torture tests.
Like I can to see if they actually do withstand everything, to see if they're of good quality.
Someone's going to take that board and try and like smash it over something and just breaks in half. For like, good job, $90 well spent.
Like
people do it on purpose.
We'll have like a Tony Hawk Underground moment where you just freak out.
Yeah, pretty much.
So James, you want to talk about the statues and kind of your thoughts on that stuff?
What number are we? Oh, 4, 5. Oh, okay.
4. We're on 4.
We're on 4, yeah.
Okay.
I also posted links to like the cost of the statues and stuff like that. So
at least they're selling something people actually will buy.
Yeah.
Considering it's Konami, I think everybody and their mothers, even like Max made the joke too. It's like NFTs, a flamethrower. Who knows what else? Like at least they sold something that people actually want for merchandise instead of dumb stuff that you would expect from a greedy company.
Silent Hill, the cereal. Silent Hill,
the statues are cool. Sure, people will actually grab that.
Yes.
Not personally for me. I don't have the space for it, and I'm somebody who doesn't like to spend money on that type of stuff anyway. So,
As soon as you said the flamethrower, James, I'm reminded of Spaceballs.
you would do that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's like Silent Hill to breakfast food, and it's like Silent Hill to flamethrower. Kids love this stuff.
What would Silent Hill breakfast cereal flavored be? Like scorched?
Like
Depressing.
Blood.
Like it would have
turns the milk
blood-
like turns the milk blood red. Yeah.
I think they need to cut. They need to have like different flavors.
Oh
for,
no,
like,
I got
each one of the
no.
characters.
I have a good one. It's the rabbit from Silent Hill 3. The
Robbie.
mascot.
I'm
Robbie.
surprised Robbie Rabbit didn't actually get a plushie or something. I think people would genuinely buy that.
He has a statue actually.
I want
Robbie
a statue. I
Rabbit,
want to hug him, not look at him.
Robbie Rabbit plush with blood on the mouth.
Yeah.
Hey kids, get your daily.
Where's the Pyramid
nutrition.
Head boxers though?
Okay.
I want
He
that.
doesn't even wear boxers though.
No,
But
it's
I
like,
do.
No, it's like
He
you go-
doesn't though. So like, he doesn't have a gap underneath there.
No, it's like you go to
No.
bed with your girl, and it's like, okay, girl, we're about to get it on, but the Pyramid Head boxers stay on.
I want Silent Hill on my butt like the juicy shorts, you know? Pyramid Head is on the other side, you know?
Poking out.
Come on, it's perfect. It's such a good joke. People will buy that
It's- I
just
would buy
because it's
those.
stupid.
Fuck, I'd buy them.
We don't sell enough joke underwear, people. Let's go.
God damn it! All right, so yeah, I think we've covered this one
Pretty
well.
much, yeah.
So
Yeah, we
Levy, you can go ahead and read off number 5 here for me, and don't
right.
forget to bring up the notes here too.
Yeah, so there's not a lot of information about Silent Hill Townfall and Silent Hill Ascension. Does anyone have any thoughts about these games? Keep in mind that Townfall is going to be developed by No Code and Annapurna Interactive. Developers both claim that Townfall is respecting the source material but doing something completely different. Ascension is going to be developed by Genvid, Bad Robot Games, Behavior, and DJ2 Entertainment. Ascension is being praised by the founder, J.J. Abrams, and Ascension is described as a mass interactive multiplayer event. A few things. One, J.J. Abrams did not appear himself praising it. Instead, he just gave a text saying, "This is why I think about it."
Did he?
Oh, I need to ask, what is the deal with him in Silent Hill? Was there something I missed? Because I'm not on the up and up.
Bad-
all the time.
his-
J.J. Abrams is involved in everything.
Hold on. So Bad Robot Game Studios is his studio.
Mhm.
That's
Oh.
why they even had his quote to begin with. Why they couldn't get a recorded video of him is beyond me, because I feel like them just giving us a note, like anybody could have written that note. and
Anybody
just
can
played
write
that.
it, and also it screams, "I don't care."
Yeah,
Pretty
and
much.
and I was gonna say anybody could have written that, and it basically means that it didn't necessarily have to be him to say that exact phrase, right? So like I feel like a video would have made a little bit more sense. Even then, why J.J. Abrams of all people? Like, why does anybody who is into Silent Hill care? Why would they ever care about what he has to say?
I'll
about
tell you
that?
why, Dom. It's very simple. Because Hollywood can't keep their mitts off our stuff. They have to get themselves involved
Yeah,
in
'cause they
everything
wanna-
we do and ruin it. They always do this.
Yeah, they want a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
That's really all it is. It's as simple as that.
The thing that I noticed is that for Townfall, even though we don't have much information about it, I do know that a little bit about the developers involved with it. Is that for No Code, they actually made the game Observation, which it's essentially takes place in space. It's not a bad game. Untold Stories was kind of like a anthology type game with it. So No Code is not a terrible developer, but I'm just not sure what they're going to do with Silent Hill. And Annapurna, they're the people that were more responsible for publishing games like Stray, Outer Wild, Kentucky Route Zero, The Pathless, Solar Ash, all these games that came out recently. And also, let's not forget the one game that nobody liked, which was 12 Minutes.
Yeah.
But wait, is 12 minutes that one game that had that really controversial moment in it?
Yep.
Yeah, it's got to be seen to be believed.
Yeah, it's that one. Like, but still, like Annapurna is not a bad publisher. As a developer, same thing. They're not that bad, but some of their games, it's heavily hit or miss. Although, granted, the one that came out this year, Stray, was really good.
So, I don't really have a whole lot to say about these two games. Like the Ascension is kind of looking spooky now that I know that it's more or less a live service game with the way that it's being described. Yeah, you got that
Honestly,
right.
Konami throwing out a few garbage Silent Hill games is kind of on point.
It's a Tuesday for them, so
remember that shitty Diablo clone they had published?
Book of Memories. Yeah. I think like we'll have to wait and see, because for the most part they're just all we got was a JPEG, right?
Yeah, that's all.
So like it's like trying to get hyped or angry about a JPEG, almost like Metroid Prime 4 fans. Sorry, I had to go there. So
you are very childish.
Yes, I am. Like yes, I am. I had to go there, but I don't really know how to feel about them. Townfall might be interesting as a unique experience, but like as I mentioned before, like personally, if a horror game doesn't have combat,
you're out.
You instantly lose me at that point. So that's where my stance is on that.
Yeah, you'd be losing out on a lot of horror games.
Yep.
Man.
As long as it's not Book of Memories, we're good.
I mean, there's
let me rephrase. Like if it's because I'll give because there are some other horror games that are they don't have combat, but they have ways to like distract enemies, and this is before like your typical run and hide sims. Like you have like the Clock Tower series, for example, right? Like that'd be interesting. Or Haunting Ground is interesting to me because it tries to do something different, right?
Well, I was gonna say Clock Tower 1 and 3 were interesting.
Well, yeah, I did mention Clock Tower. So, but
well,
yeah.
I get like Clock Tower 3 technically has combat sections in it, so it's not 100% run and hide.
Yeah, it's not completely run and hide. Plus, you have defensive items, and you have things to essentially trick your pursuer and stuff like that, which is
it also had boss fights, quote unquote.
Yeah, but if like Townfall, for example, if it literally is just run and hide, like you'd lose me, I think. So
yep,
that's where my stance is on that.
Or Walking Simulator.
Oh, geez.
That would be even worse. If it turns into that, I'm out.
I will laugh and play.
But then again, Annapurna has, like, when it comes to publishing games as well, they have had some games that are not that great, but there are others that were better. It's like I said, they're hit or miss when it comes to their games.
This would be the shakiest bridge we've ever been on, boys.
Push.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, the wood's falling. Oh shit.
Damn.
All right. Does anybody else have any thoughts on number 5? Sorry.
Ascension, though, it's like, since it's considered a multiplayer, like massive multiplayer event, it's from that phrase alone, I'm just thinking, great, it's going to be either another battle royale type of game or some bullshit like that.
I'm pretty much good myself.
Yep. All right.
Other than that, that's it.
Anybody else before we move on to number 6?
No, I'm good.
All righty. Drill, you want to read off number 6 here for me?
Yeah, sure. The last major announcement for the showcase was Silent Hill F, a new game set in 1960s Japan, being developed by Neo Bards Entertainment. The game has some heavy similarities to the Siren series. What are your thoughts on the announcement? honestly, it was like the most. It had me more interested than the remake because at least it seemed like they really wanted to take it in a brand new direction. And
Same.
having it set in Japan is interesting, considering all the other games are all Midwestern. Maybe, who knows? Maybe in some way they'll have it connect with the other games.
The F stands
I
for
kind of
feudal.
prefer if it wasn't. But it was the best looking one for sure. It has me. It also has me more interested in that than the remake, to be honest. Also, just the fact that they have Ryokishi 7 working on it has also piqued my interest. So I'm kind of interested to see what he's going to come up with for that.
Is that his pen name, by the way?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it reminds me more of, like I said, and like Thomas said, it reminds you more of Siren than Silent Hill. And I mean, I guess I'm fine with that. If it's kind of a different take on Silent Hill, because I feel like we kind of need that.
Siren does have some similarities to Silent Hill. So
I mean,
I think it.
Well,
works.
yeah, because it makes sense because I think some former Team Silent people worked on Siren. So yeah, I mean that. But yeah, like there's not too much to go off of. I do like the creature design. If the thing we see at the end is maybe what we can expect, and the weird they have these flowers coming out of that person's skin, which was kind of creepy. So I kind of hope we can expect something like that in the game. That kind of freaked me out to some extent, to be honest, because it's just like kind of like body horror in a way. So maybe we can expect something like that, but I don't know. It's like I said, there's not too much to go off of, or the trailer. It's very vague, but I kind of like that it's vague because it just makes people really speculate about what the game is going to be about.
Yeah,
I think it's impressive how they did body horror, but also made it beautiful in a weird way.
Yeah, with the flowers.
You wouldn't expect that. That takes some talent to put those two opposites together, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Yep.
So
Maybe I was gonna say like a flower. I thought it looked kind of like a Rafflesia for a second, which is called a corpse flower.
Yeah, the red flowers are supposed to be like some, like I think they're. I'm not exactly. Dom can correct me about this if I'm wrong, but I think in Japan those are like symbolic of death or something like that. They're kind of I don't know, like they're typically used in that kind of like to represent that, I think, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I'm not too familiar with like folklore or in terms of like horror for Japanese like folklore in that respect. But I do recall like in like Neo, for example, the first one, they explain like the red flowers bloom from the blood of like of a demon, of an oni.
All right, 1 second.
Like that, right? And so typically with like the red flowers, which I think were called like red spider lilies, I think
that's right.
they were called. Those are like symbolic of like death and like specifically like Oni's blood, so to speak. But again, I'm not too familiar with like Japanese horror folklore and stuff like that. So that's something that I'm just not an expert on, unfortunately. That stuff was definitely interesting, though. I really actually dug the music that they used in the trailer.
Oh yeah,
it gave me like, and you guys know I talk about this franchise all the time, but it gave me like very like Onimusha vibes with the way that the music was playing and everything like that. I was talking to Singh and he was like, "You're gonna really like the last game they announced," and he didn't tell me why. He's just like, just watch till the very end and you'll understand. And yeah, so I did like what I saw with F, absolutely, because again, it gave me those like Siren kind of vibes, just the way that it looked aesthetically and stuff like that. But also too, it's being done by Neobards Entertainment. Neobards Entertainment, they did mostly like remasters for Capcom. They did the remaster for Devil May Cry HD Collection when they started porting it over to like PS4, Xbox One, PC. They also did the Onimusha Warlords remastered, and then they made Resident Evil Resistance and Resident Evil Reverse. And granted, while those two games are not something that people are very interested in, something that I was saying for a while now is that I think that Neobards would probably be better off either just sticking to remasters or making original games that are not multiplayer games. Whether that be for Capcom or for Konami now, right? Like, I think it'd be super interesting to see how this turns out for them, because I do think that them as a studio have some potential to do something interesting and new for Silent Hill or any other franchise they really work with, as long as they stray heavily away from multiplayer-centric games.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I just thought the whole thing looked neat. As I mentioned before, like color, like when it comes to color schemes used for it, it was really nice.
Mm.
But yeah, I love how it's like symbolism.
Also, really quick too, because I know you guys kind of talked about this a little bit with like it being set in Japan, but also just the year the game is taking place in. It's taking place in like the 1960s, which is also very different for like Silent Hill in general.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that part.
What do you guys think about that in particular?
Interesting that they're changing the year.
It could maybe relate back to whatever the plot's going to be or whatever's going on with the town. Just because
don't a lot of horror movies in Japan, like whenever they have like a backstory or plot, whatever, takes place in like the 1960s?
Sometimes
that I wouldn't know.
I can't say for sure. Like like I can't think of one in that instance. I can't think of too many that take place in that time period, except maybe movies that were made around that time.
I was wondering if the year had any special significance in Japan besides whatever politics were going on. I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that era. I think that was the Showa era, if I'm correct.
I remember something with Kyushu was going on, but that's about it.
So, anybody else have any thoughts on this game? Or
nope.
I love some gameplay, I guess.
Pretty much had everything.
I would have said.
But yeah, I was a bit skeptical since it's the guys who made Resistance. But it's not a multiplayer game, so at least there's that.
Well, it's not a guy; it's just the company that.
I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. The company.
Yeah, but they did okay with their remasters.
Just bad balance in this all.
Well, the problem is lack of anti-cheat, no crossplay, and bad balancing is what kind of ruined it.
Yeah. But yeah, I do stand by that point of I think that they'll do fine with this game. I think so, because I think they have potential to make good original like spin-off titles for established franchises, so long as they're not multiplayer games. But with that being said, could I just have Brandon read off number 7 here?
Hold on 1 sec. There you go. All right, 85 thoughts on the overall showcase. At least it wasn't bad. That's all I'm saying about that.
Yeah, I would say I was at least entertained for the most part. Like, I was at least trying to, pay attention to what was being said. It wasn't an Ubisoft press conference or an EA one.
Nothing will be.
So as long as they're not treading those lines, I think.
What do you want? You don't want an interpretive dance number?
No, and
Actually, I do, man. Silent Hill the musical. Let's go,
bro. Man, Watch Dogs had like the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life for a show.
That was Just Dance, not Watch Dogs.
No, but they like we didn't need that. That's my point. We didn't need it. We ain't need it. And then it was right. Oh, you know why? It was right after that, wasn't it, Brandon?
Yeah.
That's why I remember it that way. That game's ass. Oh well. There's our closing After Dark thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, well, before we wrap up, like, would you guys want to see them do for like future showcases of Silent Hill similar to how Capcom does Resident Evil now?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, I think I would be fine with that. Yeah.
Okay, depends what you mean.
Rumors, you know,
just like where they give us updates on, you know, these games that they just announced, and then in the future, if they're going to announce a new remake or a new game, right? Or a new movie, right? They could talk about it in a small like form factor video like they did.
I'm fine with that. Also, their presentation, just their whole setup for that was a freaking 10 out of 10. Looked fantastic. Just like the whole set they use, I was like, yeah, at least they look like they're trying for once, so I'll take it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so I guess we've wrapped things up here. So why don't we go ahead and do outros? Brandon, where can we find you, good sir?
Twitter, ImmortalBrandel. I will link tree somewhere. Yeah, leave me alone.
Don't at him.
Alrighty, is Chaos here? Where can we find you?
Chaos had to go eat dinner, so you can outro him, Dom.
Alrighty, you guys can find KaptainKaos on his YouTube channel as well as his Twitter. I believe he also has I want to say it's DeviantArt.
Instagram, I think it was.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah.
Like Mad Arts.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly what he said. I'm not going to even try to say that. Look, my tongue sucks ass. So
I bet it does.
So
poor choice of words there, Chief.
Yes, it was. So yeah, that's where you can find him. I'm gonna have links for everything for everyone down in the description, so that way you can find their stuff there. Levy, where can we find you, sir?
YouTube, Twitter, hopefully Twitch, as Iveega. No longer an Amish man. Yeah, I make videos about anti-veganism just to piss people off.
Yep, and then Drillbit, where can we find you?
Yeah, Twitter at Drillbit777. That's really where I'm active, Alan.
Gotcha.
Yeah, take me on.
James, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at DevilHunterJames.
Alrighty, and then last but not least, Daybreaker, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and on Glimish.tv.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was about to say, where can you find we? So
is that like a new YouTube alternative?
It's a Twitch alternative.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where I've been streaming mostly.
I'll have to check that out for myself then.
Gotcha. And then you guys can find me as BioDevil_Dom on YouTube and on Twitter. I'm going to be working on a Resident Evil podcast very soon with some of these guys here and some other guests. And we're going to talk about the Resident Evil showcase soon. And aside from that, I'm hoping I could hopefully soon start working on some of the other reviews that I had planned, because I started recording for Resident Evil 3 in particular, the original Resident Evil 3, but we just got to wait on stuff. So stuff is being delayed, but other stuff is coming out. So yeah, but hopefully that means I could start uploading again, since I'm back to technicality. But that being said, we hope you all enjoyed, and we will see you all in the next one.
Later.
Go away.